Today's lesson is about the area of a circle. So the image on the first slide just helps us to remember some of the vocabulary that we talked about at the beginning of the chapter. The circumference being the distance all the way around the circle. The diameter being the distance from one end of the circle to the other, crossing through the middle. And the radius being the distance from the center to any outside edge of the circle. So make sure that you refresh your memory about those words so you can have a look back in your notes if you forget what they mean. The area formula for a circle is listed below. It is pi r squared. Well, what does that mean? Well, pi is the number 3.14, as we talked about earlier in the chapter. And r represents the radius, which in the picture you can see is the distance from the center of the circle to any outside edge. And this squared term just means that I have to take the radius number and multiply it twice. So we can rewrite it as pi times r again. So that's what pi r squared means. Now, don't forget that when we're using pi, that's the same as using the number 3.14, which should be in your notes from earlier in the chapter. As well, sometimes you may not be given the radius, you could be given the diameter, so don't forget that if you want to find the radius when you have a diameter, you have to take the diameter and divide it by 2, and that will give you the radius of the circle. So this is a very important formula that you should add to your formula list. So an example will be something like this. Calculate the area of the circle. Well, the first thing that we should always do is write down the formula. So I know that the formula should be area equals pi r squared. Well, I know that pi is the number 3.14. And in my picture, I am given a radius of 7. So I'm going to put in 7 squared. Now I'm going to rewrite the 7 squared as 7 times 7. So that's going to be 3.14 times 7 times 7, because that's what 7 squared means. And then if I use my calculator and multiply all those numbers together, I get 153 and 86 hundredths. We would need a unit. This one seems to be missing, so if I put in centimeters here, this would be centimeters, and because it's an area, would be centimeters squared. So the area of this particular circle is 153 and 86 hundredths of centimeter squared. The second example gives us a circle, but we are given the diameter of 18. So the first thing that we have to figure out is what is the radius, because the formula needs the radius. Well, I can take the diameter and divide it by 2. So 18 divided by 2 will give me a radius of 9. And now I can write down my formula. So area equals pi r squared. I know pi is 3.14 times 9 squared, which is the same as saying 3.14 times 9 times 9. That's what 9 squared means. And if I work that out, I would get 254.34 hundredths, and again missing a unit, so if we said that was centimeters, we would include centimeters, and then we would write squared because it is an area.